Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Shout out to everybody here. Certainly hope everybody's having a good Sunday morning. It is early. It's like 9:40 on the East Coast. When it went ahead and let the music play and had to work out some kinks, some body kinks and things like that. Got caught up on some NFL scores from last night. Certainly hope your favorite team, if they played, certainly hope they won. Certainly hope that everybody's safe and had a good weekend. Your family's doing well. We're into this is the third week of August already. Third week of August. So coming around the mountain, you got in 5 days, Ghost of Tsushima. Director's cut does release. If you all want all that goodness, it's again, I think if you've already bought it, it's to get the expansion, it's like $20 or something like that. You all can look back into it. Other people have done a much better job breaking that down. I'm gonna go ahead and repurchase it, albeit next month. That's my next month purchase. I'm buying that, and I'm gonna get a Cana Bridge of Spirits. This month I'm getting mad. I'm getting excited when I was watching a little bit of that football yesterday when I got home from work. And because I have NFL Network, well, until Tuesday. I'm going out of town Tuesday and Wednesday, and we'll be back like late Thursday night, early Friday morning. So, and then I'll get everything. I'll be right back where I was. So, but shout out to everybody that's here. Big shout out. I was on got back and jumped back on the RGT podcast on Friday. Had two special guests on there. Broken Gamers of I believe the Weapon Wheel podcast. You all go check out BG. BG plays a little bit of everything. So shout out to BG. He was a guest on there. And another guest was Robin Gaming. Yes, that Robin Gaming who the big time, Big Willie Styles, got over 100,000 subs. I started listening to Robin Gaming. He was on a panel with One Stop for Gamers, and he was on a panel again, I believe, with Bear Hugger, and who you all know now is Fatal Mephisto. So, but yeah, that they used to podcast on Sundays, and I used to look forward to that podcast every Sunday. Believe it was called the Dream Team podcast with One Stop. But shout out to One Stop for Gamers. He's the reason why I went ahead and started my own podcast to be perfectly honest. So him and Bear Hugger and Robin Gaming. So yeah, you may still be able to find those podcasts if One Stop hasn't taken them down. So but he was on there. Great conversation. Enjoyed having him on, talking to him. He confirmed a lot of things about, he confirmed that a lot of stuff is rumor based because Sony isn't putting out a lot of information. Now, I think Sony is putting out a lot of information. They're just not putting out information that a lot of the gamers want. They're putting out information like, how they secured enough chipsets, I should say, to push 22 million consoles out the door by this time next year. And based on the way they're selling, and here we are again, these consoles will be like, I don't know, they'll be what, 1 years old in about 100 days, give or take. So they're going to sell, so it's so shout out to them for doing that. But yeah, great podcast. Enjoyed being back on there with Blaze 4K and Big Cloud, and Big Cloud, I believe, has hit 10,000. So congratulations to him. So yeah, so shout out to Big Cloud. But yeah, I just like the way things have grown. I like seeing people's channels grow in the space, especially brothers and stuff like that. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. Don't stop. Keep getting those sponsorships. I know I'm working on getting my own sponsorships. Make sure you trademark the name of your podcast. It only costs about $600, give or take. Maybe you'll get an attorney. Maybe he'll only charge you $5. My attorney charged me $5. I got $5 on it. So, I mean, if you're going to sell things out of your podcast, if you're going to, quote unquote, put out hats and t-shirts and things like that, it's best to go ahead and get that trademark because people can swoop in, you know, and take the name of your podcast and take whatever you're doing. So, and people will do it, you know. And here's what I do to those people. You know, that's what I think of them. Yeah, you go ahead and light them up, but go ahead and protect yourself, protect your intellectual properties. I mean, I know a lot of brothers, I know a lot of black men, they don't like doing that. But I live in Kentucky, and there's all kind of people will tell you that KFC, their original recipe, people will tell you that's a slave recipe. So I mean, again, there's no way to prove it because they got no patent or trademarks on them, right? So not that they're wrong, but yeah, make sure you all do that. But give a big shout out to the RGT podcast. Oh, he hit over 10,000, man. I love that. I love that. So, but go check out that podcast if you haven't. Go check that out because that was fun. I forgot. And check out my podcast I did with J-Dub City and Optimus Code. And just leave comments on what what you all thought about that. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. It seems like people did enjoy it. I like picking Optimus Code's brain and J-Dub's brain on future events and what can and cannot happen. So shout out to let's see here, Emrys17 in my mini feed. Emrys has been a member for 13 months. He may be I think he's the man when it comes to that. Shout out to Emrys17, all the stuff he's done. Yes, I'm still working on trying to get Star Citizen loaded up and running. So it may be a memory problem by me. I mean, I don't have a lot of, I got an SSD because I went El Cheapo. I got a 250 gig SSD, and I'm gonna get I promise everybody, I'm gonna get that Samsung Evo, I believe it was the 870. I'm going to go ahead and get that. So that's a 1 terabyte SSD. So, and then I should be able to do everything. I should be able to, what's that term you kids use? I should be able to flex. I should be able to flex. So, but yeah, here we go. Let's go ahead and, we'll get it started here. I want to give myself a pat on the back for telling you all 2 to 3 years ago that Xbox was going to have Game Pass, be an app, and it will be on all devices, or they're looking to put it on all devices. And I'm glad Phil Spencer of Microsoft confirmed that they are open to, quote, open to discussions. I like the fact that they're being open to discussions. What's up, Eric? How you doing? How did the Raiders play last night, and how did they look? How's my man Jerry Jeudy looking, man? I still think Jerry Jeudy plays for Oakland, right? Or is it Las Vegas? It's Las Vegas. So is Jerry Jeudy doing all right? Because I still think Alabama had an embarrassment of riches. At one point, they had Jalen Waddle, they had Deontay Smith, and they had Jerry Jeudy. I mean, that is ridiculous. They had them on the field at the same time. Like, no wonder they were winning so many damn games. You can't take that away. So you can't take that away. What's up? Lincoln Clay says, yeah, you're looking at Mass Effect at gameplay. Mass Effect Andromeda. Yeah, the worst of the 3 of the Mass Effect games. But yeah, I went ahead and fired that back up and started playing it again. Actually, I found some old video of it. So good times on it. So who else is here? Sam Ash is in the building. What's happening? Sunny in VR. What's happening? Sunny in VR says everything is sunny in VR. So, True Virgil, what's happening, brother? That's right. I am the naturally born tech guy. When everybody else is out here complaining about different things, I am absorbing the technology. So, what if I told you that RDNA 3 is about to come out and hit the market? It's entering its final test stage. Part of the 3000 series is coming up out of AMD. So we're going to check out how that turns out. So what else is happening? Ghost of New Orleans, how you doing? Twist One Up Gaming says, how does the Series S have more 120 FPS games than the PS5? Backwards compatibility. I mean, again, the Series systems were set up to play a bunch of old games, which is fine. It's not that big a deal. If it makes any difference, that is RDNA 2. I have an RDNA 1 card, and I am playing Battlefield on my PC. I think I'm hitting over 170 frames per second. Okay, so your 120 on RDNA 2 don't look that good. I have an RDNA 1 card. I have a 5000 series card, graphics card. So, and I have a 2600X. I think it's the X CPU. But again, I'm upgrading it. It's getting upgraded. So I'm going to jump up to either the 2700X or just get the 3600X. So we'll have to wait and see what I end up doing. So, but yeah, that's why. I mean, if you design something to do exactly what it's doing, it's going to do it. So I think the question for me is why a system, the Series X, which targeted 1440p, allegedly, why is that console struggling to hit 1440p? I prefer 1440p. And I specifically said if Series X could hit 1440p consistently at 60 frames with HDR and a little bit of ray tracing on it, I would buy that. I would buy that and hook it up to a monitor. I wouldn't hook the Series S up to a TV. That's a monitor. That thing is screaming for a monitor. Go out and get you a 28 to 32 inch monitor. You can get that curve on there, get that 1800 curve on it, and go ahead and enjoy it. Go ahead and enjoy it. So Taurus is great. What's happening, my brother? What's happening? So what is going on? Alabama Jones says, "Yo, what's up, Mr. Jones?" Hans Peter, I like that name. Hans Peter. I like it. Yes, I think that's good. I like that. So, what's up there? What's up there, Christopher? How you doing? Oh, Art of Igmore, how you doing, man? Art of Igmore, you were up late last night, man. Shout out to you for getting up early in the morning and coming over and hitting that like button on this little dog poo podcast we do over here. So, shout out to Art of Igmore over there talking about automation and winter is coming. I like it. Got to get you a coat, man, if winter's coming, right? I'm telling you, it's August. So it's going to be, it's hard to believe. In 6 weeks, it's going to be October. It will be October in 6 weeks, people. So you all better make sure and get that done. Yeah, that's what I said. It's going to be October in 6 weeks. It's going to be October in 6 weeks. That's what I said. So yeah, I know. But, at the end of the day, what are we going to do? So, all we can do is roll with it, baby. Roll with it, baby. So, yeah, but all right, let's get into it. So, Phil Spencer of Microsoft says it calls Game Pass an app and that he's open to discussions on putting it on other platforms. I love it. Okay, it's just, again, that's what they're going to do. And yes, it will eventually come over to PlayStation, just as Spider-Man went into the MCU. Because there was a time when there was no way Sony was going to allow Marvel to put Spider-Man in any of their movies. And the Russo brothers, who was at the time, they had directed, the Russo brothers have directed, I think, 4. Hold on, let me think here. Yeah, they've directed 4 Marvel cinematic movies. One is Captain America's Winter Soldier. The other one is Captain America Civil War. The next one is Avengers Endgame, and then Infinity War. They directed all 4 of those. But while they were in the midst of developing Civil War, Kevin Feige would always say, how can I do things better? What is there anything I can do to help the process? And the Russo brothers always would come back and say, that'd be great if you could go ahead and get Spider-Man into this, And, Kevin Feige started making those phone calls. And he got in touch, I believe it's Amy Pascal, who was at Sony. I think it's Amy Pascal. And at first, Amy didn't even take that phone call. And then Kevin kept calling and kept calling and kept calling. And she finally took the phone call and they went out to lunch. And then that turned into, well, what exactly would he be doing? How long would he be in it? I mean, this is the way negotiations start. Now, I know there's a bunch of, bitch-ass fanboys and ponies in the PlayStation community who don't understand that. And they constantly will tell you that, Xbox has no games and stuff like that. But then they turn around and say, well, if Game Pass came to the PlayStation, that's a threat to PS Now. Well, if if you're going to tell me and tell everybody else that Xbox has no games, and that's perfectly fine to say that, then why is it a threat if it comes to PlayStation? I mean, did you ever ask yourself that? That is like when archaeologists discovered the Sumerian, the Sumerian language and the Sumerian people, and they said, well, the Sumerian cosmology is a myth. And they simply asked, how can the first great civilization pass down any myths? If they're the first civilization, where did the myth come from? So, okay, but this is coming as an app. And and they'll work it out. I mean, people are like, well, how's it going to work? That is none of your business. You don't have to worry about that. Okay? Just as when everybody saw Captain America Civil War, and they saw the first image of Spider-Man flipping out of that second trailer, I think they had, where he says, "What's up, everybody?" or "Hey, everybody." That did surprise people outside the trades, but we knew that was going to happen. Like, we always knew, because Sony pretty much came back with, here's how long he can be in it. We want to control the casting, and Sony's the one, again, if you don't know, they casted Tom Holland. He's their most bankable star right now. Bankable meaning that, any movie with Tom Holland gets pretty much gets bankrolled by Sony. That's why the Uncharted movie that's coming out has Tom Holland. Okay, that's their big draw. So Arthur Igmore says he's still waiting on the 3070s. Yeah, I know. I would love the 3060, 3070 myself. May have to settle for a 2070. But if you're gonna wait, I know Nvidia is they're coming out, they're working on their 4000 series right now. So but I recommend the 6800 by AMD. I don't know what kind of motherboard you got, but if you got a motherboard that will support the AMD card, I think all the motherboards, I assume they're universal, but try to get that 6800 XT. Shout out to Sick Humor. He's got the 6800, and he's thoroughly enjoying it. He said that thing is great. Like, like Tony the Tiger. They're great. So shout out to him. But guys, that's the way things get negotiated. When Sony and Marvel or Marvel, Sony, and Disney were in that tit for tat, going back and forth over different things, that's negotiation. And Microsoft, and just because Sony isn't interested right now, right now Sony not interested, doesn't mean they won't be interested in 6 months. Just as Sony was not interested in putting Spider-Man in the MCU. And yeah, but guess what? Marvel kept coming back saying, hey, can we talk to you about it? Can we talk to you about it? Here's what we're offering. So Sony, look at what Sony got out of it. They got Marvel to produce not 1, not 2, but 3 Spider-Man movies. Okay, that's what Sony wanted. Sony was able to negotiate and get Iron Man in the first Spider-Man movie. I think Homecoming, the Iron Man was in that. That's what Sony wanted. The money situation, depending on which trade you read, it came out to be like Marvel Disney pays for 70% of the movie, and Sony kicks in like 30%, but then Sony gets like 85% of the profit. So it was something like that. So maybe they got more profit, but they got an absorbent amount of profit from those movies without kicking out hardly anything. So that's just the way things are at this point, ladies and gentlemen. That's called negotiation. And just because somebody doesn't want something right now, which is true, Sony may not want Game Pass right now. You may be 100% accurate, but talk to me 6 months from now when this app starts popping up on the Hisense TV, when it starts popping up on the Samsung TV, when it starts popping up on the TCL television sets. Then you're going to be like, do you think Sony's going to want to miss out on that? Sony makes television sets. What if it just pops up on a Sony TV? And Microsoft says, yeah, we'll put the app on your television, but if you download this app, you're going to have to pay for it. And then Sony says, okay, how much money? And then Sony could come back and say, well, how much money are you talking about? What's going to be our cut of the money? if you don't think they won't do stuff like that, that's nuts. That ain't the way money works, people. Everybody, I mean everybody, wants to create another revenue stream. People are like, well, why is Sony making their video games into movies? Because Sony wants to create another revenue stream with intellectual property that they already own. Get your head out of your friggin' fanboy asses and understand that. And then you will see the world in a much different light. There is no console war. Sony is already at 10 million. It took them less than 10 months. They got 10 million consoles out in a worldwide pandemic, and you still can't find them. There's people crying because they can't find them. I mean, they're actually crying because they can't find them. You know, so that's how popular they are. They have the most sought after electronic device in history. Let that sink in. I can go to the store right now and get an Xbox One S. Just walk in there and get it. Walk in there, walk to the electronics department and say, let me get one of those. Be like, hey, come here, man. Come here. You know, you got the key for that kiosk lock right there. Well, yes, sir, I do. Yeah, get me that one. Give me that 1S up out of there. I can do that right now. Okay, so I'm in a rural state. So not like, all right, and that, you know, that's at a big box store. I won't say the name of the big box store, but I don't get why this is so hard for some people. Most people that understand business, they're like, yeah, it makes business sense. You know, so I mean, you can come to those other podcasters with that crap coming out of your mouth, but you can't bring it here because I understand the business side of it. There is no fanboy. What's that saying? There are no atheists and foxholes. You get a bunch of people in a room that want to make a lot of money, they're going to find a way to do it. So, and Microsoft knows, like they already know they can't compete with Nintendo and Sony, like worldwide. They know it. It's like, yeah, they get the same information that we get before we get it. Okay, so I mean, PlayStation 1 NPD, it's like it's just not a big deal anymore. That's why when Xbox won one time out of I don't know how many times, you know, it's just like that was news. It's not news when Sony wins because Sony always wins. Nintendo is always ahead of everybody. And you got people talking about, well, Nintendo don't get it, dude. They are way ahead. They're fine. Nintendo's fine. You know, you got this whole thing. Well, you know, PlayStation it's not powerful enough, and Xbox has the world's most powerful console. Like, why? Because they told you it was? Doesn't Fox News tell you they're fair and balanced? Why don't you watch Fox News for 10 hours and tell me, you know, then say that, you know, they're not fair and balanced. There are a lot of things. Fair and balanced is not one of them. You know, Microsoft can proclaim they have whatever they want. Okay, that's the beautiful thing about business. You can say there's a restaurant here in town. I'll give them a shout out here because they say they have the world's best tasting fish sandwich. Okay, they say they have the world's most best tasting fish sandwich. That's just a moniker. It doesn't mean that they do. Okay, because you may go to Captain D's and say, well, this tastes better. Okay, okay. You may go to Red Lobster and say, well, this tastes better than that. But you can just say that. So Microsoft saying they got the world's most powerful console, it's just them saying they have the world's most powerful console. There's a rapper named Dougie Fresh, calls himself the world's greatest entertainer. Period. That's what he calls himself. LL Cool J did an album, I think, called Greatest of All Time. I think that was the name of his album. Okay? Yeah, you can call yourself whatever you want. You dig? I mean, you can. It's okay. So Microsoft saying they got the world's most powerful console when they're getting outperformed every single time I wake up. They're getting outperformed. Okay? So either they got a resolution issue, they've got HDR issues like on Metro Exodus where everything looks washed out. You know what happens when you get that new shirt and you put it in and you got that cringe look when you got to put it in the laundry because it's not going to look the same when it comes out, right? Everybody knows that. And this looks trash. It's like, oh man, I just bought this at friggin', I don't know, Macy's. Bought this at Macy's for, $39.99. And it's their fault. I mean, I gotta blame people who just believed Microsoft. How you gonna believe they got the world's most powerful console? You got no damn benchmarks to prove it. And then when the stuff starts coming out, they're getting outperformed. And the reason why, and shout out to Porter Rock 77, he did a podcast, he did an upload asking, like, he wanted an explanation on why this is happening. But the reason it's happening is because Sony has somehow eliminated a lot of the bottlenecks, so that the information, which is the game, the software, the information that you see is getting to where it needs to go smoother. It's like me on Friday night. Smooth. It's like me. It gets there on the smooth tip, like a good bourbon whiskey or whiskey bourbon. Nice and smooth. There's no backbite on it. Like Crown Royal. Crown Royal is smooth. Okay? It is smooth. It is buttery smooth. No backbite on Crown. Jim Beam is known for having that bite at the end. It has that kick. But it's supposed to. It's nothing against Jim Beam, right? Jim Beam got a kick on it. All right? You got a bad day at work, you're going to go ahead and get a shot at Jim Beam. I mean, Jim Beam is Jim Beam, right? So, but it's just, and so if you can eliminate bottlenecks to get the information there faster and smoother, you're not going to have the screen tearing and the frame rate drops that Xbox is having. Shout out to Optimus Code. Like Optimus Code was saying, I'm just paraphrasing Optimus Code. He was on my podcast. And he pretty much said the best way he could describe it is that Xbox, if you want to make something like right now, Xbox has designed a console that's just going to brute force everything, and that's just the way it is. They're going to brute force it. Whereas at Sony, they're more or less about, things down the road. Like they want to create a new way for the developers to make the games. So they have this SSD IO. It's not just the SSD. This is another thing that these guys get wrong. Again, they just think the SSD is for speed and things like that, but it does a whole lot more with their IO, and which is their input output. So it apparently can store information, and they don't have to use RAM or random access memory, RAM. They don't have to put it in the RAM and access it that way. That's what the Xbox does. And they do it by using different compute units and teraflops to help push it. So what Sony discovered, and what AMD, I mean, do you really think that RDNA 3, just look at RDNA 3, which is rumored to not use any kind of compute units or use less compute units, but somehow Sony and AMD figured out a way to get information delivered fast without using a whole lot of compute units. So I don't, and again, this is why a lot of the stuff that's within the PlayStation still hasn't come out yet. Like nobody talks about, we know what's in the Xbox, right? We know what's in there. All right, but what we don't know is what's underneath the hood of that PlayStation, and this is because whatever is in there, it's going to be part of what AMD is doing down the road. Because the AMD is not going to put out what they're doing to everybody because it's still patented and it's under them. It was co-created by Sony. So, the Sony have the same amount of RDNA 2 within their console? No, they've got more custom. So if you play, I don't know, let's use Forza. So when you get your first car in Forza, generally it's just a basic, well, not Forza, that's a bad example. Let's use Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo, you always start out with a stock car, meaning that it has the stock parts on it. It has the stock tires, it has the stock, and Lincoln Clay, shout out to Lincoln, he knows this, and so does J-Dub. It doesn't have anything specialty on it, okay? It's the stock car. You know, if it's a friggin', I don't know, BMW, it's the stock BMW. You have to take it to the BMW shop and start kitting it up. You know, you start stripping it down. As soon as you start, you know, you put different parts on and it's like, oh, this engine is lighter, but it's more powerful. Doesn't that sound like what the PlayStation did? It doesn't have to have the same amount of horsepower in order to get the performance. You play Gran Turismo, you start stripping your car down, get a different kind of muffler in there, you get a different kind of exhaust on there, you put different tires on your car. And again, now you take that same car out on that track, and now your car, instead of going around that track, you know, you go around the test track, you instead of taking, you know, 98 seconds to go around the track in your stock car, you now go around the same track with a modified or customized car. Instead of taking 98 seconds, now it takes 91 seconds. Okay, that's the same thing they did with the PlayStation 5. So why is it outperforming the Series X? One, the modifications within it. Okay, stock RDNA 2 probably wasn't the best way to go to get information out faster. Just right now we can see it. Now, I mean, look, the Xbox can be patched and it's going to do different things, and it's not like it doesn't have advantages. It's just a matter of are the developers going to start streaming their data to help them have more information they can keep in RAM, or they don't have to keep as much information in RAM? Okay, why does every game Xbox have coming out for it, why does it target 30 frames per second? All of them. I mean, these developers are telling you this was built ground up for the Xbox. Okay, this was built ground up. Okay, well then why is it targeting 30 frames per second? Why does the world's most powerful console need a performance mode? Why isn't that mode the targeted mode? I mean, I understand the ray tracing mode. Yeah, it's just like what Insomniac did with Spider-Man. So they put 3 modes on there, and they tell you the target mode is the 60 FPS mode with ray tracing. That's the 1440p mode. Now, they also have another mode on there that's 4K native, 30 frames per second with ray tracing going balls to the wall. Okay, that's the reality. So, but why were they able to do that? They did the same thing with Ratchet and Clank. I mean, by far, I mean, they are absolutely whipping the Xbox studios. They are whipping the third-party studios. This is just one first-party developer. That's one first-party developer. What happens when Naughty Dog starts doing this? Okay, which is their top developer, arguably. I mean, you can argue, you can make the argument that Insomniac's their top developer now. You won't be wrong. You won't be wrong. So there's this whole notion that something is wrong with the Series X. Well, it's not performing right. It's not doing something right. No, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Microsoft never said that they were going to outperform. Well, I think somebody did pull an article that said that they were going to, I just made Art of Igmore a mod. Shout out to Art of Igmore again. I'm a mod on his panel. So, got to return the love and support the brothers. You know what I'm saying? But you know, you guys, this is not hard. I mean, if I can understand this, it's very simple. There are bottlenecks in delivering stuff. You know, if you drive a truck and you have to drive around the mountains to get to, I don't know, if you have to leave Virginia, you have to deliver something to Tennessee. Well, you got to go over Jericho Mountain. And then I have to, and let's just say I'm leaving Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm going to somewhere in Tennessee, and I don't have to go over the mountains. Guess who's going to get there first? It doesn't matter that your truck has more horsepower. You got a 22-wheeler, and I only got 18 wheels. Okay? I'm going to get there first because I can just drive straight down I-75 and you got to go through the mountains. And that's what the Xbox is. It's going through the mountains to deliver you the information. The information eventually gets there, but the person with the straight line, you know, or with less bottlenecks, with less curves. Ain't nothing wrong with the curves, ladies. You know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with the curves. But when you're delivering information, you want as proficient a straight line, and this is with information now, you want it to be proficient and as efficient as it can be. And the Series X is not proficient, okay? It brute forces everything. How could it be? It's like having a fat offensive lineman trying to run the football. Well, he's more powerful than everybody. He weighs 280 pounds, and the biggest person on that defense is 210 pounds. Okay? Or have you seen a swarm of friggin' army ants swarming, and I don't know, a caterpillar? Well, the caterpillar's more powerful. It's got more legs. But the army ants are swarming. They're coming. They just keep coming because they're efficient. Ants are one of the most efficient things on planet Earth because of the way they perform. They each have their own roles. They each perform them to the optimum level. The PlayStation 5 is delivering information at an optimum level. It doesn't need variable rate refresh to give you 60 frames per second. Doesn't need it. It's not that, of course it would be nice to have it. You know, we had this conversation last week. It would be nice to have it, but it's not necessary, okay? It's like you go to Chick-fil-A and you order a chocolate shake. They ask you, do you want whipped cream and a cherry on top? That it's something it's nice. We're not going to go ahead and say that we don't want it, right? But it's not necessary to enjoy the shake. And so PlayStation, as fast as it moves information around, it has that SSD that it's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. You know, a 4.0, whatever, PCI, you know, it bare minimum, it has to go a certain speed. And people are like, well, you all said that it wasn't going to be able to run things on PC. It's like, no. No, they never said that. They said what was out on PC at the time couldn't run it. And guess what? They were right. Now, Sony puts out their SSD solution and all these companies come out and say, well, here it is. We got this, we got that. You know, and then you got these guys who went out and early adapted it, which is fine. Got to pay the cost to be the boss, right? But then it comes down in price. Yeah, because all these companies have it now. And so why did Sony put this out? Well, one, because they want to put some more games on PC. They're going to do that. And in order for them to do that, they have to make sure that the PC community has the proper stuff to run it. You know, that's why their DualSense gamepad works natively on PC, on Steam as well. They didn't do that. I mean, they didn't have to make it like that. They could have said, no, we're going to keep it in its own ecosystem. But that's not what they did. Okay? Wait till next E3. To me, E3 is gone. I mean, E3 is dead. I mean, look, I hope Sony returns to E3, but it's not it's not necessary. They're not going to do things that are not necessary. Okay? You know, they know they're the big dog in the room. They know it. Okay? It's just like there's nothing that DC can do to top what Marvel's doing. Nothing DC can do. Oh, well, DC, you know, DC, they did Joker and they won an Oscar. Yeah, you're right. The last two people that have played the Joker have won an Oscar. I mean, they've been fantastic. Joaquin Phoenix, can't mess with him. I can see why Marvel wanted him to play Doctor Strange. Okay, if you didn't know that, there you go. There's some breaking news for you. Marvel wanted Joaquin Phoenix to play Doctor Strange. It couldn't come to an agreed upon price, and Benedict Cumberbatch came in and did it. And I think everybody is okay with Benedict Cumberbatch. You know, but at the end of the day, I mean, what why. Shout out to Puerto Rico. I know he was just being facetious, but everything on the PlayStation works better, and it has better technology in it. But yeah, people can go ahead. And you're going to get more games coming. Look, I'm surprised if something runs better on the Xbox at this point. Even that game with those rats, was it A Plague's Tale? With that little boy that just cries all the time. Even that game runs better on the PlayStation. That's an old game. Now, you can say, well, Mass Effect runs better on the, yeah, Mass Effect was designed, it was designed to do that. And backwards compatibility, Microsoft, yeah, they built the console to take advantage of backwards compatibility, which is fine. Like they want all games to play better. They want all the old stuff to play better. That's nothing wrong with that. So, but yeah, I didn't get my hands on a PS5 to go back and champion a bunch of old games. I mean, it's not that I don't play them. Playing Mass Effect right now on PS5, that's an old game. Mass Effect came out, what, in early 2000s, something like that? 2007, I think. So, yeah, that's an old game. I played it. I think Mass Effect 2 came out in, what, 2009, 2010, something like that. So, that's an old game. And I'm playing it at 60 frames per second, but on PC, I can play that at, I don't know, I was at 200 frames per second. Go in and slow it down. I had to slow it down. And yeah, I'm glad that everybody gets to play the same version of Mass Effect that I played, a few years ago on PC. I mean, trust me, I'm glad with all the DLC, all the goodies, all the bells and whistles. I love it. So, no, Mass Effect does not have a native PS5 version. So, and it's not going to get one. And so, so don't wait on it. I mean, I would say the native version is the version that's on the Xbox, but guess what? Mass Effect was actually published by Microsoft. The first Mass Effect game is published by Microsoft. So, I mean, so I expected it to have a little more oomph on the Xbox. It should, because Microsoft still is the one that took the chance and they published it. They didn't make the game, they published the game. Same way that Death Stranding was made by Kojima Studios or Kojima Productions, but it was published by Sony. Okay, Sony published the game to their own platform. Microsoft published the game to the Xbox. Now I know you got these idiots running around. No, Sony owns Kojima. No, they don't. Kojima can go make a game for Amazon if he wants to. Okay. Now this doesn't mean that Sony hasn't made an offer to Kojima. Okay. Doesn't mean they didn't make an offer. And it doesn't mean that Microsoft didn't make him an offer. Okay. Microsoft is trying to buy everything. Because again, how do you buy everything, you corner the market, everything comes out of your studios now, and you make the market adjust to you. Okay? You make the market adjust to you. That's what Microsoft's trying to do. That's why when Sony did get Housemarque or House Marquee, that's a big deal, because Microsoft, of course, wanted to buy them because they want to buy everything. Can't blame them, because in order for them to compete, they got to use a service, which is fine. They have something that they feel works for them, so they're doubling down on it. But the whole thing on performance is, yeah, I mean, that's what I constantly hear. Digital Foundry, well, yeah, if you turn on VRR, you don't have this problem. Well, how many people went out and spent 2 stacks on a TV that has VRR on it? I mean, that's what they're saying. It's like the top percent of the percent. It's like you got the top 1%, then you got like the top 2% of that 1% has a VRR TV. Now, VRR monitors are a lot more tolerable to buy. That's what I recommend for the Xbox. Like, hey, look, your wife is not gonna let you. I mean, I'm sorry, it ain't gonna let you get away with buying a $2,000 TV. You're gonna be on the couch. You'll be in the doghouse. Like, you're going to be up underneath the doghouse. And then I'm going to be the one in the bedroom. Are you going to hear this? You know, you're going to hear that music because you'll be on the couch in the doghouse and I'll be in there performing. So, you know, and you don't want that. You don't want to be in the doghouse. You know what I'm saying? You know, so it's just, yeah. I mean, who went out and did that? Chris B says he did it. Okay, but okay, Chris, how many people do you know went out and how many people do you know right now that have a TV that does VRR? Besides yourself, okay, present company excluded, most people don't have that. If it makes any difference, the United States, the grid is 60 hertz. That's like the grid. So anything above that is excessive. So, you know, just it is what it is. The doghouse is stank. Yeah. So I've been thrown I've been thrown in the doghouse a few times. And you learn your lesson, man. I can't sleep on that couch anymore. I'm old. So wake up and my shoulders hurt. So it's like, you know, most of your rich friends, all right, well, fair enough, fair enough. But my point is that they're your rich friends. You see what I'm saying? So your OLED was 2K, but it was a 2017 model. Yeah, I say you got, you know, well, I mean, as long as you're enjoying it, that's the main thing. But I think Samsung's got a QLED out now that's actually kind of running neck and neck with the CX. It's running neck and neck with the CX, so people may want to look into that. So, like Epic's Luminous demo constraint. Yeah, if you all don't know, that's a good point. Epic's demo ran at 8K. Okay, they spun those assets down from 8K because the Kraken can compress. Let's bring up something about the Kraken here. Something about the Oodle Kraken or the Noodle Kraken. Why does Sony have things that make you hungry? Crunchyroll and Oodle Noodle and whatever this thing is called. So, go to here. Let's see how powerful that SSD IO solution is. It actually goes up to 17. Okay. So, but that is the Oodle Noodle, whatever it's called, the bandwidth. Now, this is from 2020. This article is almost a year old, and I thought everybody knew this already. Okay, but people need to understand that the IO, the input output, the way it's delivering information, you know, it's you have a compressed line, you have uncompressed, and then you have like uncompressed. Okay, so, but this is an old article, and I thought, and as you can see right here, it talks about this is from last year, the 4.0 PCIs, or the 4.0 meaning fourth generation. So it can go up to right now uncompressed to 8.9, you know, so 5.5, which is where I think the minimum speed is for your new SSDs. But you all can just check this article out. This comes from WCC Tech, okay? And I thought everybody knew this already. I personally believe everybody knew this. Well, no, but the VRR is not, it's not designed to do that. And VRR, you can use it as G-Sync or V-Sync. It's designed to help with screen tearing. That's it. You know, it's designed to help with screen, but it doesn't matter if Xbox has bottlenecks in it. The VRR, it helps, but it ain't gonna help everything. Just it can't. I mean, so and it's not about the power of the system, so it's just not about the power of the system. So I mean, the great white shark is a predator. It's an apex predator, but dolphins have no issues with them, right? The dolphin is smaller, it's faster, it's more efficiently designed. Don't get me wrong, a hungry shark is a hungry shark, but it's not going to get the drop on a dolphin. Okay, it just doesn't. That Crunchyroll was a great purchase. Yeah, it makes me hungry though. Yeah, it makes me hungry. I want a Crunchyroll. So the VRR shouldn't be required to run your game smoothly. I agree. That's what people aren't talking about. Like, how come I have to use something from the outside to make something on the inside work correctly? Why doesn't it come correct anyway? That's the bigger question. Okay, not, there's this, oh well, it doesn't matter that it's not running correctly. VRR fixes that. Yeah, but it shouldn't need VRR to run correctly. Okay, it shouldn't. I mean, I just, like Optimus Code says, why are they, to me personally, why are they targeting 30 FPS on all their games? And they're saying, well, it has this. Well, that should be your target. You're the world's most powerful console. I mean, I can see Sony, because you're saying that the PlayStation is so weak, it has to have a stripped down mode. I mean, but Forza is a perfect example. It ain't got no ray tracing, and they targeted 30 frames per second, which I don't care that it doesn't have those things, but I'm not the one who told you all that, the Xbox was the world's most powerful console and everything was going to be better on it, and you're going to see 30 to 40% better performance on different games and stuff like that. I mean, if you're getting better performance on a game that came out in 2010, you should have caveated that. All you had to do is run the caveat on him. Like, hey, this game is going to run better on the Series X, but this game's also 11 years old. Sharks are afraid of dolphins. Well, yeah. I mean, yes, the dolphin is, dolphins are apex predators too, if you didn't know that. And they're arguably smarter than sharks. So, arguably. So, but sharks aren't nothing that has survived as long as sharks have on Earth is stupid. Okay? It's had to evolve certain things. So, but my point is that, oh, well, I had somebody telling me that PS5, the reason why PS5, this guy was on Twitter, so you have to take him with a grain of salt, said the reason why PS5 is outperforming the Series X is because the PS5 has turned off HDR in some games. And I said, okay, what game do they turn HDR off in? And then he told me to do the research. Like, no, you made the accusation. You go ahead and prove your accusation. Well, you need to do the research. It sounds like that idiot that said do the math, right? At the end of the day, if you go into your PlayStation settings, whether you have a PS4 or a PS5, you can go to your settings, you can go to output, and you can turn off HDR, and it automatically switches to SDR. Okay? It just does. Now, you can actually have games. Like, I have this game with those rats. It lets me toggle HDR on and off, but that's the game. That has nothing to do with my PlayStation. So you may have a game that lets you toggle HDR on and off, but that ain't got nothing to do with the PlayStation. The HDR is about shadows, not about your resolution. It has nothing to do with your pixel counting. I mean, the guy is dumb. I mean, I don't know what to say. The guy is dumb. D-U-M-M-B, dumb. So, they also said the PS5 was playing games better because it was RDNA 1.5, which again makes no sense because RDNA 2 should have more assets and something that's 1.5. There is no such thing as 1.5. It's just that they have a customized version of RDNA 2. That's it. That's it. And for some reason, these guys think that the stock version of RDNA 2 is better. But if you play a racing game or any game when you're sitting up there, you play any RPG and just like you can start out with the custom stuff, okay, or you can go ahead and make your character, get better equipment and things like that. I see people playing, what's the name of that horrible game people were playing online? I saw it. There's people playing Destiny online. And it's like, well, I get this gun. It's got the power of 338. That's customization. As soon as you get something that, something is better, you customize it so that you can become more efficient at the game. See people that play Bloodborne, it's like, oh, well, our Final Fantasy VII, you can put different things into Cloud's, group. This person can use this type of stone. This person uses this type of thing to make the group more efficient in what you need it to do. Again, because you're becoming more efficient, the game seeing you getting better results, right? Because you're more efficient, you know. Yeah. So Crunchyroll sounds like a type of, yeah, I agree. It makes me hungry. You know, something called Crunchyroll makes me hungry. I may have a Crunchyroll for lunch. Our crunchy corn dog. How about that? I may make the crunchy corn dog. I may do that. But these guys were just done. These guys were done, man. You know. But you have a better design console. So why is it outperforming? But you have a better design console with a more efficient delivery system, so it's going to outperform its competitor. And again, people are like, there ain't nothing wrong with the Xbox. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. You know, it's just you had these fanboys tell the Xbox community that it was going to perform, it was going to do all this other stuff, and it simply isn't true. It simply isn't true. And fine, you looked at paper and you can say, okay, on paper it might, but once we saw what it could do, it was trash. So it's like, all right, this is not doing what you guys said. Oh, well, they didn't have enough time to optimize and things like that. Well, you didn't say that. You didn't talk about optimization. You said it was going to come off the rip like that. So maybe you should have done something. So, yeah, I did hear in Japan that they had some kind of crazy data system over there. I have heard about that. And that's for automation, though. I mean, Japan is making things so we can start automating things. So, because why do you need it to perform that fast? Well, it needs to run that type of system because it's going to have some type of artificial intelligence. I tell you what's funny is there's a video on YouTube, and it's like 4 years old, where Tesla had one of their cars out in a neighborhood, and the police pulled it over. And when they lowered the windows, they didn't see no driver. Like, how stupid is that? How stupid? I mean, what do you think about that? Yeah, that's how dumb people are. That's how dumb people are. But yeah, I mean, I get that. Yeah, but that PlayStation, that is scary. The way it can unpack and deliver its data. And shout out to Optimus Code was talking about how they can just store data, I believe, in the SSD, and then when you get to a certain point, it just loads it for you. Because remember, my question to him was, how do they know I'm going to even do that? It's like on Ratchet and Clank, you don't have to do the dimensional things. You can just keep running and it keeps that world loaded. But when you push that to go into that other world, when you go ahead and you do that, that it loads instantly. There is no, circle, there is no load screen. It's there. And it's interactive. It's not like it's not interactive. It's like, wow. This game has ray tracing and it has 60 FPS and all that kind of, it looks fantastic. It's arguably the early game of the year contender, if you all follow that. I mean, it's early. It's early in the year, and I'm still thinking they're going to get some push. But at the end of the day, yeah, that game may win game of the year. I mean, it was that good, though, right? It was that good of a game. And people are like, well, and shout out to Robin Game, like he said, it was about 10, 12 hours long, give or take. Well, that's long enough. And remember, their broke asses were crying, oh, I'm not going to pay $70 for a game. I'm going to give my mama and daddy money so I can keep staying in the basement. They want me to pay on these bills. So, yeah, you don't have $70 to spend. I understand that. But you got to pay the cost to be the boss. That's the way this works. If you are a collector of something, whether it's comic books or movies, or you're going to pay. Okay, you're going to pay. And you don't have to. Shout out to BG, like Broken Game said on Friday on on RGT. He was like, just wait for a sale. Yeah, you just won't be an early adopter of the game. Okay, you won't be. You know, once, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but when Housemark, the purchase of Housemark was done by Sony, when that purchase was done, the game Returnal dropped like $20. It dropped down to $59.99, or it dropped $10, I guess. And it stayed that way for like a month. And a lot of people didn't know it. A lot of people didn't know it. You could go to Best Buy or Target, and it was $59.99. You know, it was just part of their we bought the studio celebration type deal. The Last of Us Part 2 got a permanent price drop. Okay, got a permanent price drop. So, you know, just it did. You know, it is what it is. So, and it should get a permanent price drop. But that's, like I said, that's one of the best games I ever played. I've been playing games since the 70s. So, my opinion for Back 4 Blood, I never played it. So, I shout out to J-Dub City. He sent me a code for it, but when I tried to load it up, I couldn't get it to work right. It's like the game came down, but then when I pressing on the game, it wouldn't let me load the game. And I got plenty of space on that SSD. So, you still want Valve to remaster Left 4 Dead games with all PC add-ons? Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be cool. I mean, I understand why people, I mean, zombie games, man, they're not going nowhere. I mean, Resident Evil, shout out to Resident Evil. That's your original zombie game. You know, I mean, you had some other ones too, but that zombie game, Resident Evil, that set the standard. I mean, you got movies, you got merchandise. That game been around since what, the early 90s? Shout out to them. What's up, Jamal? You know, what's up, Jamal? If you need VRR, then the game is not optimized correctly. Well, personally, that could be it. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. The Black 4 Blood beta is open now to the end of the weekend. It is open. I can just go ahead and try it. I may go ahead and try it then. So, how many of you all are having trouble turning off your PlayStation 5 like Tony Polanco is? I mean, my niece was over here and she figured out how to turn mine off, and it took her like 10 seconds. So she just pressed buttons until she got it turned off. But the kids and technology, that's crazy. They just know how to do it. I said, here, turn this off, and she just did it. You know, it's like if they go to the Apple store. Have you seen kids at the Apple store? They just know how to work the stuff. They never seen it before, but you got these people in there trying to press buttons like, well, what does this do? What is it? And then some 8-year-old comes up there and hits like 3 buttons and says, there you go. Ease of use. That's why people love Apple's products. Ease of use. So, which is fine, you know, which is fine. You can't knock the hustle of the kids. They know more than we do. They're very perceptive. Yeah, somebody really is having trouble. I mean, it's just like these guys that were afraid of screwdrivers, like, and then I posted that young lady changing the PlayStation or putting in the new SSD. I'm like, how come this little girl, or how come this young lady knows how to use a screwdriver and put in an SSD, but a bunch of grown men don't know how to do that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that to me is man, like I said, man, you got a bunch of moist ass blue pill simps out there, man. Don't even know how to use a screwdriver. But what I think is happening is like, well, if Sony does this, then Microsoft is going to do it too, and they're afraid. I mean, can you imagine waking up and just being scared all the time? You know. So. Yeah, right, Cedar, I agree. The power narrative did not pan out for them, so now it's about screwdrivers and SSDs. You know, it's sad, really. So it's sad. Now, I tell you what, it did take me, when you're coming off the PS4, the PS5, UI, I almost said IU, like that band. The IU, or UI, I just did it again, the UI on the PS5 is different. It is different, and you do have to make a couple of adjustments. And I shout out to Emrys. I was talking to him one time, and I said, yeah, I still am getting used to the UI. I prefer the PS4 UI, but because I had to unlearn what I was doing on the PS4 and learn, you know. And now I think it's awesome. Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's a very simple UI. There are things that are more instinctive on the PS4 for me, but I mean, it's just not like if I want to access a movie or something like that on the PS4, that was more instinctive. It moved like a Blu-ray player. The PS5 still acts like a gaming console. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the UI. It's just it took me time to get used to it. Just I was used to, like, for me, it's like but I set up the process. I mean, it does allow you to set up your own experience. So when I cater the experience to what I wanted it to be, I'm like, oh yeah, this is much easier at this point, just to get to where I need to go. But it's not, you know, but it's not hard to turn off. You hit that button in the middle of your DualSense. You drop down to the bottom of the screen and you scoot that little thing over to the power button. So it's like 3 steps. One, you hit the button, because I have to check that anyway because it keeps telling me that DualSense power is low. I'm like, why you not work? What's this mean? The power is low. You know, why you not work right? So, but yeah, you know. But I mean, I play games for maybe a couple of hours and then I'm off to do something else. My girl will let me get away with an hour or two, but then she's gonna give me the side eye, you know, especially if she's here. She's kind of like, okay, you've been doing that for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Now I need attention. We got to go and do this, this, and this. This is kind of the way it rolls, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, it's but shout out to my man Porter Rock. Like I said, he's on some James Bond MI6 mission. You know, he's in those 5-star hotels. You know, eating McRibs and chicken nuggets, and you know, we're out here, you know, stuck eating, you know, mac and cheese. So, but yeah, I mean, he wanted an explanation, and of course, those Xbox fanboys went over there and were mad. Y'all are just dumb. The Xbox is more powerful. And it's like, oh, okay, if that's what you say, so you know. And PS5, yeah. And again, and if you don't understand why is a PS5, why is it so big? It is because they did in development have a heat problem. They did have an actual heat problem, but they fixed that by making it big. And if you don't understand basic physics, when heat gets, you know, if you want something, the way heat is dispersed over a large object, it disperses more evenly. You know, it still gets hot. You know, I'm sure my PlayStation's over there on that warm tip, but that's why I didn't change it. Shout out to everybody that went in and put like different LED lighting and stuff like that. But LED lighting makes everything hotter. And but yeah, I mean, it's not like it's gonna just turn itself off. You know, and at least mine, if you can set it for safe mode. If I have my PlayStation 5 on, if I don't have any movement in like a certain amount of time on screen, it automatically kicks the safe mode. It's automatic. So it's just, you know, that way I don't sit up there and if it's a storm coming through, I'll just turn it off, you know, and things like that. Or I put it in safe mode. But yeah, if there's a storm coming through, I don't really have nothing electronic on. I'll sit up there and be on my tablet, and like my girl will be sitting there Indian style, and I still don't know how she sits Indian style, but well, she does yoga, that probably helps. But you know, she'll sit Indian style and read a book, not a Kindle. I bought her a Kindle, and you know, but a book. You know, no, I'm trying to buy her a book. So the McRib is back. Well, I think it's back for Porter Rock. So Tony also overclocked the CPU. Yeah. Yeah, anytime you overclock anything, I don't care if you customize your, you know, you customize your PC, you go in there, if you start overclocking things, it's going to get warmer because it's working faster. Instead of your clock going tick, 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 tick. It's going tick, 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 tick. So it's working harder. It's going to produce more heat. Okay. So they'll tell you, well, if you start overclocking, you do need to get a better heat sink. They will tell you that. So, but since the PS5 is clock fast, it's not overclocked because you don't go in there and tell it to move. It's just, that's its natural setting to go tick, 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 tick. That's what it's naturally doing. You know, you know, yeah, these people had trouble operating a damn screwdriver, but they are bragging about opening up a shelving unit and then putting in AA batteries. Man, get the F out of here, man. Just everything they say, they contradict themselves. You know, that's why I'm like, it ain't even worth talking to them anymore. It's like, that's like me, I muted most of them. I mean, somebody wants to have an honest conversation, you can have an honest conversation with them. But you're not going to be lying anymore. You know, you're not going to be lying anymore. So, and also, man, the ponies, man, you all told us that there was going to be some kind of event in June and July. Then in July, you switched it to August. It was like, it's going to happen on August 12th. And then somebody's like, well, it's not going to happen until September. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, they may have something in September because Kana is coming out. So they may have something in September. That actually makes sense. And Deathloop is coming out. So again, it actually makes sense to do something in September. But my God. I mean, they told us, didn't they tell us that PlayStation bought Blue Point Games? I mean, I promise you they told me that. You know, and right now I looked at Blue Point Games. They still independent. They tell you that they're independent. So, you know, I'm just saying, man, well, nobody makes that kind of mistake. Well, obviously somebody made some kind of mistake. I mean, where's my event? According to you guys, my event was supposed to be what I need to do, get into a turnstile machine and go backwards in time. Did I miss it? You know, well, I want to hear about God of War. Well, when they're ready to tell you about God of War, they'll let you know about God of War. You know what I'm saying? You know, meanwhile, they gave you God of War at 4K at 60 frames per second if you bought a PS5. You can just go PlayStation Collection, I think it's called, download it and start playing it at 60 frames per second. The PS6 CPU, you mean the P? Well, no, I'm just saying it's just running at its natural speed. I mean, you can't go into the BIOS of the PS5 and say, I want to slow it down or I want to make it go faster. It's just whatever speed is clocked at, and that's where it's at. But remember, it's variable. So if the game is only demanding it be clocked at, you know, if the CPU is only demanding it go tick 1 2 3 tick 1 2 3 tick 1 2 3 that, and then at one part it gets to another part of the game and it needs faster, it needs to go faster, then that smart shift will come in. That's another thing. Shout out to Porter Rock. I did forget to mention the smart shift technology that's integrated in the PS5 is another reason on why the PS5 is outperforming the Xbox, because if the Xbox gets to a scene that's, I don't know, GPU, just it needs a GPU, it starts to brute force the GPU. It starts to brute force it. And it's not going to give you an even distribution of information because it's just being brute forced out. It's like being thrown out the door versus, again, imagine being thrown out of a door and then walking out the door. Which one is more efficient for you to leave? It's more efficient for you to walk out. Okay, it's also safer. You're getting thrown out the door. It's going to be discombobulated. That's what, and then the Xbox has to take the information and reorganize it. And what you're seeing in the screen tearing and the frame rate drops, you're seeing the actual reorganization of data being put on your screen. Okay, that's what you're seeing. That's why you're getting the frame rate drops and things like that. So, you know, it is what it is. So, you know, and for me, it's, yeah, there you go. That's exactly what's going on. So anybody that's wondering why you're getting outperformed, that's why. because your information is being organized faster on the PlayStation, and it's being pushed out and reorganized faster, so that you don't get the screen tearing and the frame rate drops. And the Xbox, it doesn't. It's doing the same thing. It just doesn't do it as fast. So, just it is what it is, people. It is what it is. So, yeah, and also, before I go, this whole abandoned thing, because people keep asking me about it, I never really covered it. I just simply said, hey, the app is live. If you want to download it, I'm waiting on Sony just to, update and tell us what it is. So they say it's an exclusive game. Okay, I'll just wait for some more information on what it is. If it's Silent Hill, I'll be mad, because I didn't care for Silent Hill. Now, let me make this clear. I thought the writing on the first Silent Hill was top-notch horror. It was Hitchcockian good. It was Stephen King level. But as those games kept coming out, they started to stink. It was like, I played Silent Hill 2. I'm like, all right, Silent Hill 2 was a graphical showcase, but the story was trash. But it was a graphical showcase. You know what I'm saying? So, and, just, it is what it is. So, all right, shout out to you, Chris B. Thanks for your support, brother. I appreciate you being here. So, but yeah, so just, guys, remember that and just enjoy it. And I know the PS-5 is hard to get and damn near impossible. Just got to keep at it and keep trying. And, I think, why don't you check Target Tuesday night, because they may get some in. Just try Target. You can pull that trigger between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you got to have a bunch of windows open, like Target and friggin' Walmart and things like that, and Best Buy, to try to get one. So Sony doesn't even have the respect to tell us, it's not about respect. So, they'll, when they have an update on it, they'll have an update on it. So, okay, if it doesn't come out, does anything change? If Horizon Forbidden West doesn't come out, what changed? See what I'm saying? So that's, I can't really, say that, Yeah. I mean, again, and they're enjoyable to watch. Shout out to everybody that's enjoyable to watch. It's fun to watch MBG and stuff like that. But I mean, he owns it. He said when the whole abandoned thing came out, he flat said if he's wrong about it and you all need to quote unquote dunk all over him, he'll have to take it. So I can't, somebody who mans up and stands on their square, I don't have an issue with. What else is there to say? He was wrong about it. I think he was wrong about it. So, saying that it was this and it was that, but he stood up and said, okay, fine, I'll take it. I'll take the L. I mean, he even did a video that said that this was the absolute last time we're going to hear about it and things like that. So if he does a podcast today, if he does one today, that's fine. That's fine. But guys, I'm going to get on off here. I am going to go listen to Brat, because he's going to go apparently on a rant. He's got Optimus Code on there. So we're going to sit up there and I'm going to sit up there and listen to that and try to figure out which one of these games I'm going to play. I may get back into Mass Effect 3 again. So I started Mass Effect up again, if you all didn't know that, because the way I was playing it, I wasn't feeling the connection that I need. Now I got that feeling back. So I've been playing through my 3D Pulse headsets and everything. So, leave a comment if you're in that beta program, because I want to know what it's like with the 3D sound with the speakers. So, but guys, I'm going to get on off here. I do appreciate you being here. You all have been wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you guys are awesome. I appreciate it. But I got to go. And like I said, I will be on a mini vacay till looks like, the 20th. So I do appreciate it, man. You all take it easy. Keep playing your games and have fun. Peace.